Cool.
Done. It started.
So welcome everyone. Can I introduce you guys?
Yes, please.
Thank you so much. So kind.
So welcome everybody to this inspirational call this morning on a topic that personally is something that I've had to spend a lot of time really dealing with personally, and I'm just so grateful that Rocco and Chilla are doing an intro call on what else is actually possible beyond abuse. So today is about asking questions. They're going to speak about what they know about this topic and introduce us maybe to some other energies to facilitate a different possibility about moving beyond abuse. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Moana Brown. I'm a certified facilitator of access consciousness in New Zealand. And Chilla and Rocco are two of the amazing people that are also facilitating these conscious tools, not only in New Zealand because they live here, but also around the world. So I'm going to hand it over to you both to kick us off and tell us more about this energy, about how you got to this topic and what you can contribute to us today.
Thank you so much. You're so kind. Thank you, Moana. So one of the things, as just for starting, if you have any question, please feel free to ask a question. You can do it by typing into the chat room or just unmute yourself and just ask a question. If anything comes up for anyone, please. So because we all have a different way of receiving, and we all have different kind of questions, and that just adds much more and makes it much richer.
And it can open up much more possibilities for everyone.
Thank you so much. So when we talk about abuse, most of the time we think that it's just sexual abuse or it's just
physical abuse,
thing that can happen to women or to children. And there are these stereotypes about abuse, but what is the main part about abuse, or what is abuse really, is something that is done to you that makes you choose less, that makes you become less than who you are, than what you could. So anything that is done against you, that is forcing you or somehow making you becoming less or make you choose less, that is an abuse, or make you choose something that doesn't work for you. And in this sense, it's much greater, it's much wider than just physical and sexual abuse or child abuse. It's not just, when people are hitting the kids or women or anything like that. But even part of it is lots of course, emotional and mental abuse. When people are told that you are stupid, you can't do that, you are not made for this, you are not good enough for this,
when
you should do
pushing
less.
You down.
Yeah, all the types of approaches that is done to you in order to push you down, to make you less. Because when you are less, you cannot create more, you cannot interfere with those people who wants you to choose less. So for example, if someone wants to take control over you, they will start to make you less or start to make you feel that you are less. And a beautiful part of it is gaslighting. when they really, it's really focusing on to make you think you are stupid and dumb and you can't create anything. And it just creates, for the infinite being that you are, it creates a sort of a contraction, a constant and continuous state of contraction. So, and the question is that what else is possible beyond this? So where did we buy into it's part of life? Because there are hundreds and thousands of situations about abuse that we don't think it's abuse, and we think it's part of normal life, and we have to cope with it or we have to tolerate it. And there is nothing you can change because you are alone. You are just yourself. You are the only one who thinks it's not okay, or you think or you feel or you are aware of it's not okay. but still, because the response from the society is that it's okay and it's part of life, you keep accepting it and saying that it's okay. And everywhere where we accept other people's stupidities, we just create less for ourselves. And we also spread that stupidity, and we sort of maintain the stupidity on our planet. So what would it take to get out of the stupidity and get out of this whole situation, or this vicious circle where we buy into, and after that we maintain and sell the beautiful idea of abuse that's normal, the different parts of abuse.
So is that then how we start to abuse ourselves? Is that what then contributes to creating self-abuse? Is we've actually brought all of that, those subtleties of abuse, those manipulations of abuse, and then we start using them on ourselves as well by buying them? Is that?
There is that part where abuse and judgment is really connected, that people, for some reason, they have an idea, and all our education system is based on this idea of judgment, that if I judge you, that will make you become greater. Or that's and people sort of, as I see, are really entrained into judgment. So if I'm judged in a right way, I will do what you want me to do.
Yeah.
And people think this is how they will become greater, or how they will parent their kids into some greater possibilities. But it's not really empowerment.
No, it's interesting you say that, because many of you know I work in the education system, and was a teacher for many years. And you're right on the money there. There's continuous judgment from the time a child arrives at the age of 5 in New Zealand. Well, they're not reading yet, they're not writing yet. And there's no question in that. And there's no question to the child around, are you ready to start that yet? Or are you still interested in playing? And then the measuring, well, your child, isn't doing as well as the child next to them. And it just continues until they become young adults. And then what I notice is that young people, teenagers, they're looking then to fit in to everybody else's reality, and that's an abuse. They're looking to align and agree, or they're looking for the right answer, and that might not be the right answer for them. So it starts really young.
Yeah. I mean, and it's part of it that there are not many questions in the whole process of life. So even from the beginning, when a child is really curious and they are asking questions from the parents just how to say, they are not that ready for answering or giving the information. They think they have to answer, or otherwise whatever else. So they either stop the kids from asking questions, or the other option is that they give some stupid answers that is like a cul-de-sac,
doesn't go anywhere.
Like when a child is asking, but mom, why the sky is blue? Because God made it like that. It's cool. It's not an information you can go further. So that's difference between answer and information. And slowly people are entrained to not ask a question, but believe that others know, and they have the information, and what they know, what they tell me, that's the right way. So I don't have to expand. This is the only way of expansion, or this is the only way to know the reality or the whole universe, by going and studying or reading books and learning from other people.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking right now how many times I felt frustrated growing up, because I knew that there should be another possibility, or that doesn't sound right or feel right for me. And yet if everyone else around you is going, no, that's the way it is, you start doubting yourself. So is that another form of self-abuse? Is that, or type of abuse, as you actually start doubting yourself, doubting your knowingness, your awareness?
I mean, there is that part in Access when we say that we are all psychic SpongeBobs. That means that we are all aware of each other's points of view and realities and judgments, what they think of themselves, what they think of ourselves, and we think it's real, like it matters. If someone judges me, it should be true. No, it has nothing to do with us. It's not real. It's not true because they just don't know what we know. I mean, they could know, but the first question is that how much of this is true, and are they functioning from that space that creates more for me, or are they just functioning from the need of control, the need of pushing me down?
Yeah.
So one of the areas that could really contribute to all of us is starting to ask questions when we communicate with others, or when so there are two areas. One is that asking questions regarding all our feelings, thoughts, emotions. Is this truly mine? Is that, and how much of that is true? And if that is true, can you acknowledge that and then go further? And also about other people's judgments and projections on us. What's the space they are functioning from? Because there is that saying that, you have to listen to someone else, a third party, a third person, because they could say something right about you. And we buy into it and we use it nonstop without questioning how much of that is true. Because sometimes they say stupid things, most of the time, but we buy into it.
And particularly the things that we like. I like it when people say, cool things about me, but are they actually true? Or, I really love this, but is that actually being a contribution to me? And just because I love it doesn't necessarily mean that it's even working for me. I'm just once again thinking about, maybe this is a type of abuse too, working in the education system, working 50 to 60, sometimes 70 hours a week. That's not fun for me and my body. But somewhere I brought the point of view that, if I want to be a real teacher or a really good teacher, I needed to do this and I needed to feel like I'm making a difference for everyone else. But actually, feeling incredibly frustrated in a system that actually wasn't working for me, and actually wasn't working for the kids either. So, is that also a type of abuse in terms of our employment, our businesses, our environment?
Yeah, and there is that thing, I think everyone who has ever had a job, they went through this, that they had to fit into someone's reality, someone's point of view about what you have to do at that workplace. Like you have to arrive by 9 and finish at 5, but most of the time they start to say finish at 6, 7 or 8. And if you don't do it, then you are not part of this amazing culture, this amazing team, and you will be fired, or you will not get a promotion, or everyone will make fun of you, or whatever, if you don't work longer hours without receiving any contribution for the extra work, because of course they don't like giving that, just in very rare situations. So they use this extra pressure and extra stress in order to exploit people, the resources of the human beings. And we just do it with each other. People aren't trained to it, and they use it as a good excuse that in this reality you have to work harder if you want to get to somewhere. And that's not really truth. I mean, so we can just ask questions again, that if you choose a place to work for, is this really a contribution? And as things are changing, maybe on day one it was a huge contribution, but now where you are at that very moment in that situation with those colleagues, with those bosses, is that still a contribution to your body and to your being? Does it create more for you, or it's time to change, or to change something?
You just mentioned our bodies as well. Rocco and Sheila, can you also share with us maybe some of the other access tools that you have to offer or could contribute into our awareness around you know, working with the body, so that it's, you know, we don't feel like our bodies are being so impacted on with the different forms of abuse that show up in our lives.
Mm-hmm. So there is this thing that it's just enough to grow up in an environment, like in a family that is abusive, and because of being in that environment, all the energetic implants will be logged into your body. So you start to lock it into your body, and that abusive energy will stay in the body. And even research shows, and scientists find it, that when people lock in stress, and abuse is creating stress, when you lock it into your body, the cell, the core of the cell starts to pick up an elliptic shape. And when it starts to be elliptic and maintains that shape, it's a precursor of illnesses and diseases. So, for example, just simply growing up in an environment where you, let's say, hear abusive words, and you are, for some reason, it's sensitive to you, these people start to have hearing problems. And it's really up to you to which part of your body will you lock in the energy of abuse. And it also can be self-abuse, when you say, oh, I'm stupid, or if you are a dance teacher or doing some sports, and you tell yourself, oh, I'm not able to perform well, I didn't do that right dance steps, or I wasn't fast enough when I was playing soccer, or all these things. You start to lock in self-abuse, judgment, and abuse energies into different parts of your body that starts to create a breakdown, or starts to create illnesses in the body, in that particular area of the body. And luckily, or it's really amazing that there are many great tools in Access that can help you to get out of the judgment, get out of the abuse. So one part of it is about getting out from the abuse as a being. But other part of it, it's not enough to work just with the being, because these are anchored and implanted into the body. So we need to work with the body as well to allow the body to get out. And because what happens that Gary Douglas has an amazing session. It's called, what he created, it's called the Abuse Hold Session, which is a very gentle treatment where people is, so the practitioner gives this session to the person, and that allows the body to release the energy of abuse from the body, and as well helps the being to release the abuse. And I think those people who already received this session, I mean, all the feedback I've heard, they really had amazing ease and lightness.
Very, very, very big changes, not just in the body, but in their whole life.
And I think you could tell also a lot of beautiful testimonials about it, because you are a practitioner as well, and you gave many to the people.
Yeah, that's true for me too. And interestingly, you know, when I think about the last 11 years since I've been using the Access Consciousness tools, you know, within 6 months of me coming across, even just having my bars run, and choosing to ask way more questions about whether my current situation was working for me, I had actually created my dream job. Doing what I loved every day, working with much more inspirational people. And, you know, when it was like a magic wand had been waved. I mean, I know there was more involved, but that the body work, that's what helped change energetically what could actually show up for me to create a different reality. And, you know, since then, as some of you know, I've also then just created my own business. You know, it's the things that have made the difference is not just using the processes, but when I've had the body work run, and particularly the abuse hold, which I've had 3 times, the peace and the ease and the no anxiousness in my body is just dissipated, and my life just is abundant and much more easier, which is, you know, I'm so grateful that you are sharing this topic with more people, because I just meet too many people and have too many clients with, you know, this really is at the bottom of what's going on for them. And I'm wondering though, you know, we've got quite a few people on the call as well as on. I wonder if anyone else has got some questions that they might like to ask you as well. So just, you know, if you've got questions and you're on the call right now, if you can unmute yourself and ask away, this is your opportunity.
Would you equate abuse to trauma?
Would what? Sorry, I didn't hear you clearly.
Well, if you would equate abuse to trauma, because there's like, I see the trauma as what's sitting in our bodies. I guess it can be from like accidents and things like that, but I think it's often like there's this micro abuse or these small things that are happening, but it accumulates in the body as a trauma and sits in the body.
So, like, whether it's trauma or abuse, what we need to know about the body has an energetic lock system. What it means, each and every cells can do a couple of things. One is that they can receive energy, they can retain energy, and they can release energy. And when this system somehow starts to malfunction, which is due to abuse and or trauma, then it locks in the energy and it stays in and it cannot release it anymore. And this abuse hold session, for example, and there is another one, what we have, what it does, it allows the body to sort of fix this system. It allows the body to start to release the energy of the abuse or the energy of the trauma. And that's the beauty of it, to make the body release it.
Yeah. Good, because like abuse in a way, it can also just be a lack of care, right? If somebody's hurt and nobody's there to care for them, in a way it's a kind of abuse. It's not a deliberate abuse. It's not someone trying to hurt them, but the effect can be the same on the system.
If we check regarding the effect, or we would like to see the effect, it's really about either it's an abuse or a trauma. So the difference between the two, with abuse, there is someone else actively involved in that, like who is doing the abuse to us. And with a trauma, you know, you can fall down from your bicycle just by yourself. So it's not always involved, like no third party always involved in that situation. But both create the same thing, that something is locked into the body that you need to release in order to allow the body to heal, to recover, or in order to, and also to allow the being to recover from that. Because if that is just a simple injury and a trauma, it's not always creating a sense of abuse, but it's just a sense of, I'm not healthy, I'm not doing right, I feel sick, or I feel there is pain still after many, many years of that accident. But it's not really that abusive. I mean, it's not the same. It doesn't make you become less in that sense. It's not forcing you that thing. But the treatment for both can be the same, that's the need to release the energy that's locked into the body. Yeah.
So can that be not just, you said the abuse hold, but the other body processes that Access offer can also assist with the release of that energy? So
we created a body process that is about releasing the energy of trauma and abuse, and we have a two-day abuse clearing class where we work with the bodies. And that's a body process that people can use on themselves and on each other, like practicing on each other and help each other with this. And we were even use this online through calls where people were using this body process on themselves. That worked really beautifully. And yeah, so that's the thing, that as long as you have the energy of abuse logged into the body, the being is also connected to it, and it will bring the being back to that same moment, and keep choosing from that space, and keep looking to life from that moment, from that energy.
Okay, thank you.
Regarding the body processes in excess, each body process has its own special energy and its own sort of topic, or what it can address, and each of them has a different area or topic what they can address.
But you can always ask your body, you know, hey body, if I run this body process, is it a contribution to you, or is it help to release, you know, this trauma or abuse? It can help. Yeah, you just need to ask the questions from your body.
Okay.
Yeah, that's another thing that so what they say, that 90% of the abuse is self-abuse. That, oh, I'm stupid, I fail, I'm not good enough. I can't do this.
But most of it coming from someone else's points of view, because they think I'm not good enough, or they project on us we are not good enough. So that's why we start to judge ourselves. Oh, I don't look like that model in the poster. Phew, I'm disgusting.
Or I'm not a good mother.
Yeah, because people around me do something different and totally differently than me. So I'm sure I'm not doing very well. That something is wrong with me.
And and all what it creates is so when you have self-abuse, then you create the same thing. You start to sort of slowly kill your own body. That's the big problem with the self-abuse.
Killing me softly.
Yeah.
And then that's interesting. That's where I was up to when I came across the Access Consciousness tools. But I don't know if I was being so soft with myself either. But also, knowing how many of us actually know that there should be another possibility. That life isn't meant to be this hard, or this such a struggle, or that my body should have more energy than it does. And what's really going on here? You talked about the 2-day class that you facilitate, and we've got one scheduled here in beautiful Mount Manganui at the end of this month, because we're into September.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I'm personally looking forward to having 2 days of just allowing the space for my body to dissipate, to access, to release even more of that energy that is not allowing my life to be even easier, and for things to be even easier with my body. I know that we've got an introductory evening planned for the 28th of September. So in the introductory, that's over sort of 2 to 3 hours on the Friday evening. You'll cover some more about the energies and accessing the energies of changing our molecules. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then over the weekend we'll continue on with that.
Yes. So the thing is, it's a 2-day class, and there is that intro evening the day before, which is really about all those people who would like to attend the class, to bring them to the same space, to create that space for the class, that we can all start to release these energies from the bodies and from the being, to start to see there is a different possibility, and give this sense of the possibility to each of the person who is willing to attend. So then the next day we can really get deeper and deeper. So it really is like a warming up for the people to have that sense of, wow, there is more possible here. Wow, I don't have to be the victim of this abuse anymore. whether it's self-abuse or any other types of abuse, which is like sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, mental abuse,
financial abuse, spiritual abuse. Yeah, lots of type of it.
Yeah.
Okay. And beyond the class, that will keep changing, that will keep creating new possibilities.
Yeah. So what we find out regarding abuse, and we mentioned it before, that when you suffer from any type of abuse, that starts to limit you, because you do it to yourself, because that's the result of the abuse, to contract yourself. So for example, when you suffer from financial abuse, that will contract your capacities to receive more money, to create a greater business. So that's the part of abuse, what it does, that it, instead of allowing you to excel or to expand in your life, it will limit you. And if you have financial abuse, then you buy into these things and you start to function and keep functioning from that space of abuse. So therefore, it doesn't allow you to have ease with money, to receive new possibilities about money, for example. And that's the same about any other areas of abuse. It doesn't allow you to excel or expand in that area.
It's interesting. Energetically, where I grew up, life was very hard. Everyone was struggling, and everyone actually worked in the factories in Auckland, where I grew up, and so energetically growing up in that energy myself, I found it interesting that I had totally created that, the hardship, the struggle, the challenge by the time I was 18, and became a young mum and a single mum, and really had created energetically the environment that I grew up in. And yet when I acknowledged that and recognized that and asked the question, well, how did I create this? And then got the awareness of how I was creating that, and then said, well, how do I change this? That something different could actually show up for me. And interestingly, one of the ways that I changed it was actually moving to a different vibrational space of, instead of being surrounded by factories, I actually moved to the mountains and was surrounded by, beautiful trees and nature and birds, and how much more nurturing and kind and caring that was for my body. So I wonder what 2 days in the beautiful Mount Manganui by the ocean, at the bottom of a mountain, could actually contribute to everyone who may choose to come to this class and actually experience for themselves how other ways that we can actually heal our bodies and our beings. What can you share with us about that?
Yeah, so there is that part still around. We still think that abuse has to be really a big thing. But still, even if you haven't been beaten up as a child and you think you grew up in a normal family environment, in a normal place where everything's okay, just imagine that, let's say your parents doesn't have enough money and you would like to have something, go to a camp with your friends or to travel somewhere or go and buy something like a nice dress, and your parents said, maybe for the first time they bought it, and then the second time said, sorry, no, you are not good enough, you didn't have nice or good grades, you will not have it. You have to perform better in order for us to buy you something. And that's immediately financial abuse, saying that you are not worthy of having finance, of having money. You are not worthy to have what you desire, and first you have to prove you are worthy. So that's already, even if you say, I grew up in a normal family, it happens in normal families, and it's just a way of need of controlling, because that's what families or parents were functioning from, because this is what they received when they were children. But imagine that you can create an environment where whether you work with children or whether you work with your clients or whether you are just at a company where there are adults around you, and you start to function from a different space where there is very pressurized need of control is not existent anymore, where you can have that space for the people around you. So what change and what ripple effect you can create in the world if you start to get out and you start of abuse, of the different subtleties of abuse, and you start to function from the space that an infinite being you are, with your body as well. So what change you can create, and what else you can receive. So a lot of people, when they started to receive more and more and more, they started to realize that, oh hell, life is not that bad. And actually there is that other part with the suicide. There is this suicide awareness month everywhere in the world, that a lot of people does it because of the self-abuse, or because of the projections of them, and the really high level of pressure that they can't get out of their own prison of abuse. And that just makes them think there is no way out. The only way out is dying, kill myself. So what else can we create here if we start to provide the space and expand the space for everyone at all levels of life?
Yes, and what future can we create with this?
And what change it can create in a relationship for all those people who are in any kind of relationships. I don't know many. Anyone is in some kind of a relationship. So what change it can create in a relationship level if you start to function from that ease that you are as an infinite being, when you are not limited by these controlling needs that they say it's normal, it's general in this society. You have to control things such a way because this is the way that is proven, and this is how we did it forever, and this is the only way to do it. But what if you as an infinite being know there is a totally different way that creates such an expansion and such a beauty, and people start to see the beauty in life, and they start to be empowered that they can choose more? What will it take to have this ripple effect?
Yeah. So what else is possible with this?
Because that adds a lot to all of us who and the people around us who are choosing that, even if they don't attend the class. But what can we create in the future?
On them as well. Yeah. So what future would you like to create?
And yes, and in that beautiful environment in the Mount Manganui.
Actually, the class was choosing the place because this is a very fresh class, actually. Special approval by Gary Douglas personally.
And he commented on it, said, you have to be crazy to choosing that, so I give you approval for this.
Yeah, we are crazy enough to do that. But yeah, what else is possible? Yeah, actually, and we were asking questions. Okay, where would you like to be?
And show up. So what is the space in New Zealand?
And the first name came, it was Mount Manganui. Okay. So, yeah.
It just has that nurturing energy that the body is required.
It's contribution. That's a huge contribution.
Yeah. And it's a volcanic area. Like it's always giving birth to something new.
Yes, it is. At the moment, there's like 3-meter waves down there, like the surf is up, and it's a beautiful day here in the mount. But yeah, there is an energy here. Then there's definitely an energy of healing and nurturing that is in the environment here, and amongst many other places in New Zealand. We're so lucky that we've chosen to live in this beautiful country. What do we know, and what else can contribute to that? I'm wondering, is there anyone else who's got any questions that they'd like to ask, either about the class itself or about anything that's coming up for them that they may be able to receive some tools, or you could ask them some questions about? So you can unmute yourself just down on the bottom left-hand corner.
I would like to ask something. If you would like to do an abuse hold session, can you only do that with Gary, or are there people that do that sort of sessions here in New Zealand?
Yes, there are a couple of abuse hold practitioners here in New Zealand as well, like Moana. We both of us can do as well. And
so the way it works in Access Consciousness, there is a training, a half-day training that is driven by Gary Douglas. He facilitates that training and he teaches the people to become
a practitioner
of the abuse hold session. So those people who attended that class, they can
be a practitioner.
Yeah, they can hold these sessions.
In order to have the session, there is a 2 hours abuse clearing CD with Gary Douglas. You can buy it in the Access web shop, Access Consciousness
we will
website.
Send out the link for that.
Yeah, and
it's something like $30-$40, something like that.
But
it's downloadable immediately as an MP3 file.
And the prerequisites for this session, you have to listen it at least 20 times, because first you have to clear all the energy of the abuse from your being, and after you can have the session for your body.
Yeah. So that is a recording of a class that Gary Douglas was doing on the topic of abuse, and he was doing lots of clearings on different areas of abuse for the people attending that class.
That's a really
the
great
recording
call.
of it, and it's really amazing to listen to it. And yes, what we will do in these 2.5 days is running loads of clearings, so lots of verbal processes and the energetic body process as well, and lots of exercises, clearings and questions.
And life facilitation, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't come to your workshop. We would love to, but I have to leave the country on the 18th of September. So it's not possible. That's why I thought maybe, just shorter session would be good.
Yes.
Moana already shared the MP3 where people can buy and download
it.
You can purchase this abuse clearing.
And of course, you are available now. You're already available to facilitate the abuse hold for people. They can book in for private sessions with you, and you're located in Auckland, but I also know that you do a lot of travel around New Zealand.
Yes.
So maybe if you are interested in having an abuse hold session, you could private message Chilla and Rocco to organise that. But there are other people in New Zealand too who can facilitate that. If you're in the Bay of Plenty, you can contact myself. We've got Chrissy Shirley in the Waikato region. There's a few. But if you are thinking that you'd like to come to the class or considering coming to the 2-day class and would also like to have an abuse hold session as well alongside the class, please let us know. That information will be available on the Facebook event page as to how you can do that as well. So you're welcome, and I would recommend it. Like I said, I've had 3 sessions, and the peace that is in my body now, I didn't know that you could actually have that amount of peace and ease with your body, and I'm just so grateful for that body process.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so lucky because when we were attending this training with Gary Douglas, he was representing it on me. So I received it from Gary, and it was so beautiful, so amazing. It was really, that's that morning I was asking, okay, what magic can I have, or what magic can happen? And then, he was choosing me to represent it. It was, wow. It's really
what did he know, and what did you know? It's like I said, I'm so grateful that you're willing to create a space here for us in New Zealand where we can actually access this energy and address this energy and the ways that it's affecting our bodies and our lives and the choices that we have and what gets created. So These are so incredibly grateful that you are choosing this class. So who else has any questions before we wrap up today?
I just had one more question or just a comment that I imagine this would affect addictions a lot. So if people have addictions, that if they go through this, it will help them release those.
Yeah, how many addictions we have because of we just had enough of the abuse, you know, because it's so hurting and painful to listen to all the judgment, and instead of you know, addressing it or doing anything with those judgments,
you just escape and do something.
Yeah, that like, makes us no need to listen to it, no need to think about that judgment anymore, no need to be in that space where I'm heavily judged. So that's a big area of the class where we go to teach people and give people the tools how you receive judgment. Because judgment is an amazing, huge energy, and it's just a huge contribution to your life when you get how you can receive it, how you can use it for yourself to create more for you.
And the other thing, you know, lots of time the addiction is not even ours. So we just perceive it from someone and we think it's ours.
So we mimic it or duplicate it or just have it, but we have nothing to do with it.
Cool.
So that's another thing where we can go, is we will go, that's receiving judgment. And with receiving judgment, the other area is receiving yourself, your body, and you, who you are. And when people can do both, receiving themselves and receiving other people's judgments, then they can easily get out of this whole thing, this whole cycle of self-judgment and buying into other people's realities. That just creates a totally different space for the people of, wow, it's you know, you don't have to function anymore from that pressure of others, of thinking of you, that and
it gives you such a great ease with that. And I have a really cool question. Who am I without my stories?
It's because that's allowing the person to getting out of the sense of being a victim of the past. Like, because many of us are functioning from that, oh, what happened to me in the past, that's why I fail, that's why I'm choosing this, that's why my life is a shit, because this or that person did to me this or that thing. But who could you be if you would have no stories, if you wouldn't function from the past stories? So
what could you create from the new space?
So are there any prerequisites for the class?
No prerequisites.
It's only attending the Friday evening.
Yeah.
which
is the part of the class. Yeah.
So we can all start from that space on the next morning together.
Wow.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So thank you so much for all the beautiful questions and all your contribution to this energy, to this lovely Saturday morning.
Thank you. Thank you for attending.
And thank you both. You know, I really have a sense that we can actually, you know, so there is something beyond abuse. And what if we could actually have some joy with shifting and moving that and fun, and, you know, it doesn't have to be pain, suffering and gory. Going actually through addressing that, you know, what if we could do that with laughter? What if we could do that in a beautiful environment? What if we could contribute to each other and creating something way more expansive?
Yeah, maybe we should change the name of the class, the joyful abuse, you know.
because that's the people's point of view. In order to release the abuse, you have to relieve it again, but it's not real. You don't have to relieve it again in order to release it. And that's the other thing that shows up many times, that people have more ease instead of the trauma during the release process itself. So that's just another not real concept have to go through the terror again in order to let it go.
Yeah.
You can have totally fun with that.
Yeah.
And that it has to take years of counselling and
yes. So all the points of view about
yeah, which I've got to say, I did all that, and it didn't change anything. It was still there when I came out of the cave, or after I've done, a whole weekend retreat. It's like, oh, it's actually still there. Okay. And I've also got to acknowledge, a lot of that was because there was a story, there was a whole lot of stuff there that actually wasn't real, that was, keeping it stuck for me. And now that's changed. And I'm also aware there's still stuff, there's still some stuff. And I'm really looking forward to hosting you both and being in the class with you at the end of September. So, for those of you that are listening to this call or who have been on the call, to find out more information, it's on the Facebook page, and it's called Breaking Out of the Prison of Abuse. If you've got any more questions or would like to ask questions about the class itself or what's going to be in the class, or just if you're choosing to come and you want some information on where to stay, etc., please just contact us and we can help you. And wherever you are today, have an amazing day and what else is possible. So I'll let you guys finish it off, and we'll have a great day together.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and it was so amazing. Thank you for all of your kindness, and thank you for Moana for organizing it for today. And looking forward to meeting you, and maybe we will hold some other talks in the topic in the near future. So, and we will send out all the details to the people who register.
And the recording as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a lovely weekend. Thank you.
Yeah. Have a joyful weekend.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Bye-bye.